What is up, everyone? It's Logan here with Graham Media, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to change your lens on your camera. So for starters, I want to say this is a fairly simple task, but there are a few things that you want to make sure that you're doing while you change your lens, especially if you're out in the field. So the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that your camera is set to the off position. So on this camera in particular, that is right here. And as you can see, it's off. What that does is it makes sure that the shutter's closed. So when you do turn your lens cap off, there's these tiny little blades right here that cover your sensor, and that's going to protect it from dust. This is extremely important, especially if you're shooting like landscape or wildlife or even at a wedding. So as you can see, shutter's exposed. The flange is open. This little red dot here is where we're going to line up our lens. So I'm going to take my lens cap off, line the red up to the red, twist, and make sure I hear that lock. So our first lens is attached. Now I will say, I like to leave the lens cap on anytime I'm doing something like this, just to protect your glass element. So anytime you're making changes, make sure you throw that lens cap on, just in case you were to drop it or something like that. It's an extra layer of protection. So next, we're going to change out this lens for the next one. Now, word of advice, I do like to leave the camera facing downward. And for the same reason that you want to turn it off, it's going to allow an extra layer of dust protection. Unless you're in like a sandy or super dusty environment. A way that I do this when I'm out in the field is to actually tuck it and turn. But for sake of today, there's a button here that you're going to press. Turn the lens. Drop it off. Put your lens cap back on. And then we're going to grab our next one. Now this one is a Viltrox, so it doesn't have that red dot. It has a white one. You're going to line that up. And again, I still try to keep this facing down most of the time. Turn, and you're going to hear that lock click again. And then the camera has the lens secured to it. Take this off. Turn your camera to on, and then you're ready to shoot. So to give you guys a little bit more in depth, as you can see, I'm going to turn this switch on. And now our lens, or our sensor, is completely exposed. So that's why you want to make sure the camera is off before you take your lens off. I also highly recommend anytime that you're doing this to have this lens cap on and the front lens cap on as much as possible throughout the whole process, just to make sure everything stays clean, you don't get any dust on either of the elements, because that will affect the quality of your pictures. Lastly, I want to say that this applies to pretty much every camera that has an interchangeable lens. So this works on the film cameras that I have. As you can see here, I have a Pentax, and that button is right here on this particular camera. Just push that button, turn, and the lens comes off. And then it's back on. We have the click. It's good to go. So the same safety protocols apply to pretty much every camera. Make sure it's off. That will either, if it's a DSLR, flip your mirror up. Same thing with a film camera. Or in particular on these mirrorless cameras, most of them do have a shutter that will drop down to protect your sensor from anything that could potentially damage it. A few more bits of advice. I do recommend, if you're not using the camera, put this little cap on rather than carry it with a lens. And I'm guilty of leaving my lenses on more than I should, but this does add a layer of protection versus having just a lens on it. Especially with DSLRs, from my understanding with them, I haven't done a whole lot of work with them, but you can knock out the synchronization between the lens and the camera body. So that was it. Hopefully you found this information good, usable, and you can keep your camera safe, protected at all times, especially when you're changing lenses out in the field. If this was helpful to you, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want more camera how-tos, news updates. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.